Hello and welcome. So today, we're going to tackle one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, one of the most contested ideas in the entire world, democracy. But you know what? We're not going to start way back in ancient Greece. We're starting right here, right now. Why? Because in the 21st century, democracy is facing what some are calling a perfect storm of threats. We're talking about everything from a rising tide of authoritarianism to a really deep sense of dissatisfaction coming from within democratic countries themselves. So you see this question all the time, right? Is democracy in decline? Well, this isn't just some scary headline. It's a real, measurable global trend. Political scientists have a term for it, democratic backsliding. And what that really means is this gradual, subtle, but super significant weakening of democratic norms. Think of it less like a big dramatic coup and more like a slow, quiet erosion of the institutions that are supposed to hold everything together. And the craziest part? It's often happening at the hands of the very leaders who were elected to protect them in the first place. And the scale of this problem, it's just staggering. I mean, look at this number, 70%. A 2021 report found that a full 70% of the world's countries were either not democratic to begin with or were actively going through this process of democratic backsliding. That's a huge portion of the globe. And sadly, that trend is continuing. The 2024 Democracy Index, well, it paints a pretty stark picture. Just look at these numbers. Only about 6.6% of the world's population lives in what we'd call a full democracy. Meanwhile, almost 40%, the single biggest chunk, now live under authoritarian rule. That's a massive shift. So what's driving all this? Well, you've got this mix of rising populism, huge economic inequality, and, of course, the wildfire spread of misinformation online. It's all feeding into this global challenge. And this poses a really crucial question for all of us, especially as students of political science. If democracy really is in trouble, what exactly are we at risk of losing? Okay, let's really dig in and figure that out. So, to really understand what's at stake, we have to cut through all the noise and get back to basics, back to the fundamental definition. What does democracy actually mean? Well, the word itself tells you a lot. It comes from the Greek, demos, meaning people, and kratos, meaning rule. So, literally, rule by the people. And what's fascinating is you see this across languages. In Nepali, the term is Lok Tantra. Lok for people, and Tantra for system. The people's system. See? Both point to the exact same core idea. Power is supposed to flow up from the people, not down from some ruler. And this whole idea gets its incredible moral power from two really key principles. First up is individual autonomy. It's this beautiful idea that you should be able to control your own life, right? That you shouldn't just be subject to rules that someone else imposes on you. And second, there's equality. This is the idea that every single person should have the same shot, the same opportunity to influence the big decisions that affect all of us as a society. And what this timeline shows so brilliantly is that democracy isn't some static, unchanging thing. No way. It has evolved over thousands of years. I mean, you can see its roots way back in the direct democracy of Athens, where male citizens literally voted on every single law. Then you have the Roman Republic, which gave us this concept of electing representatives. Fast forward a few centuries, and boom, the Magna Carta establishes that nobody, not even the king, is above the law. And then, of course, the Enlightenment provides the philosophical horsepower for all the ideas about liberty that are the bedrock of modern liberal democracy. Okay, so that's the history and the philosophy, but how do these big ideas actually translate into practice? Let's take a look at the different ways democracy is actually done around the world today. All right, the most basic split you'll see is between direct and representative democracy. And there's a super simple analogy to get this. Imagine you're with a group of friends trying to pick a place for dinner. In a direct democracy, every single friend gets a vote on which restaurant to go to. In a representative democracy, the group elects one friend, the foodie maybe, to pick the restaurant for everybody. See the difference? One is all about pure participation, the other is about efficiency and trusting someone's expertise. Now, if we zoom in on that representative model, you'll see a few key flavors. You've got your parliamentary systems. Think the UK, India, Nepal, where the leader, the prime minister, actually comes from the legislature. They're part of it. Then you have presidential systems, like in the US, where the president is elected totally separately from the legislature. And on top of that, you have different ideological spins. Liberal democracies are all about protecting individual rights and limiting government power. And then you have social democracies, like you see in Scandinavia, which mix a capitalist economy with a really strong social safety net. Okay, so to see how all these theories and models actually play out in the messy real world, and to really get a sense of just how precious and incredibly hard-won democracy can be, we're going to look at the really dramatic case of Nepal. Seriously, Nepal's journey is it's a powerful lesson. It teaches us about both the fragility of democratic ideals, how easily they can be lost, but also their incredible resilience. This is a story about a nation that has just refused, time and again, to give up on the idea of ruling itself. And this timeline just lays it all out, this incredible cycle of struggle. So after the end of one autocratic rule in 1951, there's this brief flirtation with democracy, but it's cut short. The king seizes power, and you get 30 years of autocracy. Then, in 1990, you have the first Jana Andolan, the People's Movement, which brings back a parliamentary system, but it doesn't stick. In the early 2000s, another king dismisses the government. It takes a second massive People's Movement in 2006 to finally force the monarchy out for good. And that's what paved the way for the 2015 constitution, establishing Nepal as the federal democratic republic it is today. What a journey. And all of this brings us right back where we started, to the challenges facing democracy today. But now, hopefully, we're armed with a much deeper understanding of what is truly at stake. Yeah, these challenges aren't just some abstract theory. They are playing out right now, in real time, all across Nepal's neighborhood. You just have to look at the 2024 elections in places like Bangladesh and Pakistan. They were just riddled with allegations of fraud, suppression of opposition parties. I mean, we're talking direct state interference in the whole process. But, and this is a really big but, it is a complex picture. On the one hand, yes, institutions are absolutely under threat from that democratic backsliding and divisive politics we talked about. But on the other hand, you have these incredibly powerful countercurrents. We're seeing this surge of civic engagement, especially from young people. There are youth-led grassroots movements popping up all across the region, from Sri Lanka to India, all demanding accountability and pushing back hard against anyone trying to erode their rights. You know, it makes you think of that famous Winston Churchill quote, "Democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others." And that just perfectly captures it, doesn't it? The difficult, messy, but absolutely essential nature of this whole struggle. It's unstable. It's imperfect. But as Nepal's own history shows us, every single time the people lost their democracy, they fought to get it back. So as you go forward with your studies, I really want you to hold on to these three key takeaways. Number one, democracy is not some final destination you arrive at. It's an ongoing process, a constant evolution and struggle. Number two, rule by the people can look different in different places, but it is always built on those core principles of autonomy and equality. And finally, number three, the democratic backsliding we're seeing today is a serious global challenge, and the only way to counteract it is through the active participation of citizens. And that brings us to our final question, the one I want to leave you with. What is the citizen's role in all this? What is our role in protecting democratic norms when they start to erode from the top? Because all the research shows that's how it happens these days. It's a slow decay from the top down, which means the ultimate defense has to come from the bottom up. And as the next generation of political thinkers, leaders, and actors, well, the answer to that question is really going to be shaped by you.